So in the previous video, we learned about how we can define constructor functions, and we learned about the rules that we should follow while writing our own constructor functions. In this video, let us write some code to see constructor functions in action. So let us say we want to define a class car, and for it we will have certain fields like car speed. Second one can be car price. Then the third one can be car brand. And lastly, let us say car model. So these are the fields. So now we want to model our instance based on the blueprint that we will define right inside the class using these properties. So we need a constructor function for it, right? And for each instance that we create, we need to set up these fields on that instance. So this is something called as the state. Then we need some behavior, which we will implement via methods. So methods. So first one will be get car speed. So this method will return us the speed of the car instance that we are working on. Get car price to get the price of the car. Then the third one is get car brand. Fourth one is get car model. Then we can have some methods like setting the car speed. So set car speed. Another one can be increment car speed. And last one is decrement car speed. So now we have discussed the state and behavior that we want for our car class. Let us define this using Java. So let us head over to Visual Studio Code and create a new class in the object-oriented programming folder. New file, and let me name this as car.java. Next, let us add a file for our driver code, drivercode.java. So right here, let us first define the state of our car. So all the fields that we need for our car, let us define these as private fields. Private means that these fields cannot be accessed from outside this class. So private int car speed. So this is also a member variable. Next, let us say private int car price, private string car brand, private string car model. Now the next thing we need is a constructor function. So let us first define our default constructor. So suppose the user doesn't provide values for these fields like car speed, car price and car brand, then we need to set our default values on the instance for which the constructor runs. So for this I can say public car. So here we are not passing any arguments. I can say this, and here we will pass our default values that we want for the instance that we are working on. So I'll pass these values to a constructor with parameters. So public car. So what does this constructor with parameters expects? So it expects a speed argument, which is integer, a string brand, a string model, and the car price. So let me add this right here, int price. So here we will pass our values, which are the default values if the user doesn't specify any value while creating a new car. We will use these default values. So as a default value for the car speed, let us use 100. For the price, let me add a comma right here. So for the price, 2500 like this, and car be Mercedes, and let us say model is say XYZ, anything. Now what happens here is that these default values get passed into the constructor that takes on these arguments, and then we can set on these values to the fields that we are having on the current instance. So to refer the current instance, I can say this, and let us set the car speed on that instance by saying this dot car speed and set this to speed that we are getting right here. And let me do same for other fields as well. So car price, set this to price. Car brand, set this to brand. Car model, set this to model, like this. And let me also print this keyword right here. Now let us go right below the constructor function to define the behavior for our class via methods. So first one is the get method for car speed. Return this dot car speed. So the speed of the car that we are currently working on, right? So this refers to the current instance. Then for getting the car price, I can say public int get car price, return this dot car price. And same for car brand, return this dot car brand. And lastly, public int get car model, return this dot car model. Now let us define a method for setting the car speed. So if the user, while defining a new car, passes a value for speed, then we want the ability to change the speed of the car when we get a new value for the speed, right? So public void set car speed. So here we will receive a speed value. Now here we can check if the speed that is given to us, which is the new value of speed, if it is somehow given to us as negative, then we can simply return. Otherwise, let us set this on the current instance like this. Now let us define our second last method for increment of speed. So public void increment speed, and this will take on an increment factor. And here let us define a integer variable new speed, and to the current car speed let us add the increment factor. And right above let us also add a check that if the increment factor is less than 0, let us return without doing anything. And if it is more than 0, say 1, 2 or any integer value, then we can construct our new speed by adding the current car speed to this increment factor to get the new speed. And next we need to set the car speed to this new speed, right? Like this. Now let us perform the same thing for the decrement speed method. So let us copy this and paste it down below and change this to decrement, and here we will receive the decrement factor. And if the decrement factor is greater than 0, let us simply return. But if it is less than 0, then we can just add this to the car speed, because the decrement factor is already negative. So if it gets added to the current car speed, then the new speed will definitely be less than the current car speed, right? And then here we set the car speed to new speed. So now to see this code in action, let us go to our driver code.java file, and inside here let us define our main method. So public static void main string array aux. Now let us first create a car. So car BMW new car. So let us pass on the values for the car. So first we need the car speed, then the price, then the brand, and then the model. Let us say the speed is 125, price be 35,000,000, and car name BMW, and the model let us say A1. So let us print it right here. So BMW. Now next let us see the default constructor in action as well. Car default car new car, and let us log the default car to the terminal, and let us give this a whirl. So let me change my directory to the oops folder, cd java object oriented programming. Now to compile our code, let us say javac driver code.java. Okay, so we are doing one thing wrong. Let us go back to the car.java file, and on line 29, yeah, this should be car brand, so string, So car brand is a string, so here we need to return a string. So this should be string type, and for the model as well. Now let us again give this a whirl. So the compilation went well, and to run the file, Java driver code. Now what happens here is that when we ran our driver code, the line 3 creates a new instance of the car using these values. So the constructor runs under the hood and sets these properties to our BMW instance. And once we have the instance with us, we are logging it right here. So this is our BMW instance. Then coming to line number 6, here we are using the default constructor. So here also the constructor runs under the hood, but here we are not providing any values for our new car instance. So let us see this. So for line 6, what will happen is that this code will run, and here we will use the default values for the current instance for our default car instance that we created in our driver code. So it uses these values and runs the constructor with parameters, sets up all the properties, sets up the car speed, car price, car brand, and car model. Once it is done, it prints the current instance right here on line number 10 and right on line 7 as well. And hence we are getting this logged 2 times in the terminal. So this is how constructors work under the hood, and how we can define our own constructor functions for the real world entities that we want to model based on the blueprint that we define inside the class. Now let us see our methods in action. So we have these methods: get car brand, get car price, get car speed, get car model, set the car speed, increment speed, and decrement speed. So let us give them a whirl. So right inside the driver code file, on the BMW instance, let us call the set car speed method, and let us pass this a value of 250. And now let us print BMW dot get car speed. And before running this method, let us also print it like this. So now let us compile our code to see this in action. So javac driver code dot java. And now in order to run the file, let us say java driver code. So you can see previously the value of the speed for BMW instance was 125. Then right after the execution of this method, it got changed to 250, right? Now let us see some more methods in action. So let us try this. So system.out.println BMW.getCarBrand. Next, let us increase the speed of our BMW car by say 50. So increase speed by a factor of say 50. And right after this, let us print the current car speed. So get car speed. Next, let us apply the decrease speed method and decrease it by say 49. For the decrease speed method, we need to give the decrement factor as a negative value so we can decrease our current speed and get the new speed. So right inside the driver code, let us change this to minus 49 like this. And now let us finally print the car speed again. So now let us finally compile our code and see the entire output. So javac driver code.java. Okay, so we are getting an error. Okay, so let us check our car.java file. Okay, so there is a simple mistake that this should be increment instead of increase, and here we need decrement, right? So let us give this a try. Okay, so compilation is done, and Java driver code. Okay, so we are getting the output. So right here our speed was changed to 250. So on line 10 we got 250. Then we got the car brand, which is BMW, and then we incremented our speed by 50. So now the new speed is 300, and then we decremented the speed by 49. So the final speed is 251. So this was all I wanted to cover about constructors in this video. If you liked the video, do give it a thumbs up or comment down below if you have any query. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and let's catch up in the very next one.